How often do you use your phone for calls?
While I do use my phone for occasional calls, I primarily rely on messaging apps and social media for communication. I find it more convenient and efficient to send a text or message rather than calling, especially for quick updates or scheduling appointments. However, I still appreciate the value of a phone call for more in-depth conversations or when I need to clarify something important.
Do you prefer making phone calls or sending messages?
I generally prefer sending messages over making phone calls. Messaging allows me to communicate at my own pace, without the pressure of real-time conversation. Additionally, I can carefully consider my responses and avoid misunderstandings. However, I do recognize the value of phone calls for certain situations, such as when I need to discuss a complex issue or express empathy and support. Ultimately, the choice between phone calls and messages depends on the specific context and my personal preference at the time.
Do you think phone calls are becoming less common?
Yes, I believe phone calls are becoming less common, especially among younger generations. With the rise of messaging apps, social media, and video conferencing, people have more convenient and efficient ways to communicate. While phone calls are still valuable for certain situations, they are no longer the primary means of communication for many people. The shift towards digital communication has been accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic, which forced people to rely on remote communication methods.
Have you ever had a difficult phone conversation?
Yes, I've definitely had some challenging phone conversations. One that sticks out in my mind was when I had to break up with a long-term partner over the phone. It was a difficult conversation to have, and I knew it would be emotionally draining for both of us. I tried to be as compassionate and understanding as possible, but it was still a painful experience. I realized that sometimes, certain conversations are just easier to have in person, where you can see and react to each other's emotions.
Have you ever missed an important phone call?
Oh yes, I've definitely missed important phone calls before. It's always frustrating when I check my missed calls and see a number I recognize, only to realize I've missed an important opportunity or update. One time, I missed a call from a potential employer who wanted to schedule an interview. I was so disappointed when I realized my mistake, and it taught me the importance of keeping my phone close by and checking it regularly. I remember a time when I answered a phone call from a stranger while I was waiting for a bus in the city center. It was a busy afternoon, and I was sitting on a bench near the bus stop, surrounded by the usual hustle and bustle of the downtown area. People were walking by, chatting, and there was the constant noise of traffic in the background. I was scrolling through my phone when I received an unknown call. At first, I hesitated to pick it up, but curiosity got the better of me, so I decided to answer it. I thought it might have been someone I knew from work or a delivery I had forgotten about. Given how common it is to receive calls from unknown numbers these days, I figured it wouldn't hurt to check. Little did I know that it would lead to a rather strange interaction. When I picked up the phone, the person on the other end sounded a bit distressed. He introduced himself as a delivery driver who had my number because I was listed as an emergency contact for a package. He said that the package, addressed to someone I didn't know, had my number attached to it, and he wanted to confirm if I was expecting anything. The entire situation sounded strange to me because I hadn't ordered anything, nor did I recall ever using my number in connection with someone else's delivery. I was quite taken aback because I couldn't understand why my number was being used. He explained the package was urgent, which only added to my confusion. The urgency in his voice made me take the call seriously, even though I was fairly certain it was a mistake. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I responded politely, explaining that I wasn't expecting any delivery and that he must have the wrong number. I asked if he was sure he had the right recipient, and after double-checking the details, he apologized for the mix-up. I assured him that it was okay, and I even thanked him for calling to clarify instead of delivering the package to the wrong person. After that, we ended the call, and I went back to waiting for my bus. I took a moment to reflect on how easily these kinds of errors can happen. It also crossed my mind how frustrating this situation might have been for the driver, who was just trying to do his job. Despite the confusion, I felt that I had handled it as well as I could have. The whole experience left me feeling slightly puzzled but also somewhat amused. On one hand, it was an odd encounter that disrupted my quiet moment, but on the other, I was relieved that the driver had taken the time to confirm the details. It made me think about how easy it is for mistakes to happen, especially with something as simple as a wrong phone number. Overall, it was a harmless incident, but one that reminded me of the occasional randomness of life. In retrospect, it was one of those small events that breaks the monotony of the day. Even though it didn't have any lasting impact, it stayed with me because of how unexpected it was. It also reminded me to be more cautious with my personal information in the future.
How has technology changed the way we communicate?
Technology has revolutionized the way we communicate, making it faster, more convenient, and more global. Social media platforms, messaging apps, and video conferencing tools have connected people from all corners of the world, fostering new relationships and bridging cultural divides. However, these advancements have also led to changes in communication patterns. For example, people are more likely to rely on written communication rather than face-to-face interactions, which can sometimes lead to misunderstandings and a lack of emotional connection. Additionally, the constant stream of information and notifications can be overwhelming, making it difficult to focus on meaningful conversations.
What is the future of phone calls in a digital age?
While phone calls may not disappear entirely, their role in communication is likely to diminish as technology continues to evolve. Messaging apps, social media, and video conferencing offer more convenient and efficient ways to connect with others. However, phone calls may still be preferred for certain situations, such as when there is a need for immediate attention, empathy, or complex discussions. As technology advances, we may see the development of more sophisticated voice-based communication tools that combine the best aspects of phone calls with the benefits of digital communication. For example, AI-powered voice assistants could be used to schedule calls, manage voicemail, and even translate conversations in real time.
How can we improve phone etiquette?
Improving phone etiquette involves being mindful of others and practicing considerate communication. First and foremost, it's essential to be respectful of others' time. Avoid making unnecessary calls or keeping people on the line longer than necessary. When calling someone, introduce yourself clearly and state your purpose for calling. If you need to leave a voicemail, be concise and provide your contact information. Additionally, it's important to avoid using your phone in public places, such as restaurants or theaters, where it can be disruptive to others. By following these guidelines, we can create a more pleasant and respectful communication environment for everyone.
What is the role of phone calls in building and maintaining relationships?
Phone calls play a vital role in building and maintaining relationships. They offer a more personal and intimate way to connect with others compared to digital communication methods like texting or messaging. When we make a phone call, we can hear the tone of the other person's voice, which can convey emotions, sincerity, and enthusiasm. This can help us build a deeper connection and understanding. Additionally, phone calls allow us to engage in real-time conversations, which can be more meaningful and satisfying than written communication. While digital communication has become more prevalent, phone calls can still be a valuable tool for strengthening existing relationships and fostering new ones. They provide a platform for sharing personal stories, offering support, and expressing empathy in a way that is difficult to achieve through text-based communication.
What are the challenges of communicating with people from different cultures?
Communicating with people from different cultures can present several challenges. One of the primary obstacles is language barriers, which can hinder effective communication and lead to misunderstandings. Even when there is a shared language, cultural differences can influence how people interpret and express themselves. For example, nonverbal cues, such as gestures and facial expressions, may have different meanings in different cultures. Additionally, cultural norms and values can shape communication styles. What is considered polite or direct in one culture may be seen as rude or insensitive in another. Another challenge is overcoming cultural biases and stereotypes. Preconceived notions about different cultures can distort perceptions and hinder open communication. It is important to be aware of our own biases and to approach intercultural communication with an open mind and a willingness to learn. By understanding and respecting cultural differences, we can overcome these challenges and build more effective and meaningful relationships.